Hey, Kristen, can you hear me?
Yes. How are you?
Great. I'm well, thanks. How are you doing?
Good. How'd you make out with the storm?
Pretty uneventful. Um, I swear the town wants to make sure they know that that they're out plowing because they started early.
My next door neighbor started at 5 this morning, snow plowing his driveway. I was like, I guess I'm up.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys didn't lose power, did you? Because I know sometimes in Madison you guys do.
Yeah, it's we did lose it. It wasn't the storm. The night before, Bradley Road had a bunch of people that were out,
Oh.
and yeah, Eversource came through. The police were in the fire. I don't know what happened. They were pretty busy around, but
Hmm.
don't know why.
Interesting. Yeah, I gotta ask MP when she gets on if she lost power. 'Cause every storm she does.
Mm. We have a generator, which I'm so happy about. The first time we've ever had one, but it's a nice feeling when the power goes out and you're like, oh, yes.
Yes. We do not have one here, but we didn't lose power, thank God.
I'm here.
Hi.
Hey, Scott.
Hello.
How did you do with power? Did you lose it?
Nope.
That's good.
No, just ton of snow
Oh yeah.
up here. So
I've been shoveling for 2 days.
yeah. Well, it wasn't fun. I stacked my cars in the driveway, and yeah,
Mhm.
it wasn't long enough.
Yeah, no, me and my dad do that too. So the bottom part of the driveway, I think he's gonna do tomorrow, but I actually go to work.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and that's where all the heavy stuff is.
Yep. The bottom.
Well, to me it's the top, but
Oh.
it's all this salt melt and everything else. It's like
Oh yeah, and from the plow and everything. Yeah.
was not happy this morning.
Yeah.
I mean, it cleared out. I mean, my son did the walks and everything last night, and they were dry this morning. So, but it
Mhm.
was just
Yeah, it was much warmer today, which I
yeah,
was surprised. But then now we're supposed to get another one on Sunday.
uh-huh,
Yeah,
yes,
because Nancy just sent an email and she's like, bring stuff home in case you guys have to work remotely. I'm like, okay.
yep, yeah, and unfortunately that storm was named Cooper,
Yeah.
which was one of my dog's names.
Aw.
I'm going, yeah, no, he wasn't a storm.
Yeah. No.
But Rob, you got a nice flat driveway. You're right close to the highway, the town garage.
Well, I was saying to Kristen, I was convinced that the town, you definitely know when they're starting at 2 a.m. The night of the snowstorm, and the road was black, but it was being plowed.
Well, they were out, but there's between the two divisions, there's a
Hmm.
lot of,
I
okay,
walked the dog late last night, and not too late, maybe 9, and there was someone that was doing the senior center, doing the sidewalk. I mean, that thing was great.
that's us.
I A funny story. So I've learned that with a metal roof, the snow slides off at quite a rate of speed, and if you have a little barn light, it will rip it right off your
Oh,
building.
God.
Oh boy.
But so I got those little snow dams that go on to the seams of the metal
Oh,
roof.
there you go.
Yeah, but of course they arrived
After the storm.
no, they arrived Saturday, and I'm like, and I'm calling around who has a ladder that's big enough. So I'm up there like 5 o'clock on Sunday night, screwing them on. So
You didn't get hit though, did you?
no. So Shane did text me. He is not available tonight. Pam,
Okay.
her work commitment changed, so she'll be joining.
Yep.
I see Vince is here, and I have not heard from him. but let me
Yeah,
see if,
MP's
yep,
MP's here.
yeah, right now.
yep, she's here, great.
Hey, MP.
Hello.
Hey,
Hey guys,
Vince.
good evening.
MP, did you lose power?
No,
Good.
amazingly. It's always a pleasant surprise when the lights stay on.
Did you have to shovel all the snow by yourself?
My husband got sent home early. They canceled the
Oh.
afternoon patients, so we made quick work of it. It was light. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah, no, me and
Exactly.
my dad did the rest of it this morning, like on top, and I'm like, he's like, let's go shove your car out. And I'm like, okay.
It's always the end of the driveway is always the worst part.
Oh yeah, and
Absolutely.
that's where my car is.
Yeah,
Because that's where all the stuff is.
yeah, all
Exactly.
the heavy part.
Yeah, but we actually get to go to work tomorrow, so I needed my
Well,
car
that'll
shoveled
be
out.
interesting.
Oh my
I was
God,
there
yeah.
today.
Were you?
Yes.
You're not non-essential like us.
I had to get stuff done.
Yeah. Hmm.
Scott, did you see the number of kids on the hill there today?
Yeah. Hopefully a
I was
lot
one of those.
didn't-
I was one of those.
Yeah, hopefully a lot of them didn't leave their stuff behind,
Yeah, yeah.
which has been the case. And
Yep.
it's like, I know it went out over social media that's like, okay, it's broken, but just leave it. How about picking up and taking it back home to your home?
Do you
You
have
know?
a lot of that problem? You have a lot?
Yes.
Really?
Yep.
There are a lot of kids there.
Somebody, Vince, it's somebody else will get it.
Yeah, right. A lot of kids.
Yeah. Well, it's actually the safest place in town.
And a few grandparents. Yeah,
Yeah, but it is. It's the safest hill in town, and they
Yeah.
wear it down to dirt. So real quick.
yeah.
I mean, it's highly better than Ryerson/High Hill, where
Hmm.
we ended up having to put up a fence
Yeah.
because they were going right into the road. So
I guess you can go to
No,
Guilford
we're-
too.
yeah, and
There's
I mean, just as an aside,
golf
Tim Burton from the Rockland
Yeah.
Committee, he got a 4-cycle snowmobile, and he ended up going through the service roads to create paths so people could go in. Yeah, cross country ski.
Cross country, yeah.
So.
That'd be fun.
Nice.
So he ended up, he asked for permission. I said, yeah, just put a sign on that it's a service vehicle for the town and go for it. So there's a lot of tracks up there that can be used by cross country. So
Good stuff. There's another, I've found that people sled from the Congregational Church down to Academy Field. There's
oh
a
yeah,
good bunch
Yep.
of people that have been there. That's a good little run.
yeah, I don't want to go there, but that's all right.
Yeah, the meeting hasn't started, so technically Beach and Rec is not promoting that. So with that said, I see Pam has joined. So it is 7:02, so we'll call this meeting to order. Good to see everyone. Glad that everyone is healthy. Shane did call in and he has a commitment for work this evening, so he will not be able to attend. And Pam, glad you could join as well. I know you had previously a work commitment and that changed. So we're going to go through the minutes. We did get the minutes from our December meeting sent to us during last meeting. I don't believe we did approve those
No,
at the end
you
of the
guys
meeting.
didn't.
So I think we have to approve both tonight. We'll go through public comments. I've got a couple quick notes and then Scott's director's reports. Not aware of, the only old business we have is on the agenda, and then new business, and we'll adjourn. So with that said, the minutes for our December meeting, we'll entertain a motion to approve. We'll look for a second, and then any discussion or edits we made at that time. Is there a motion for the December minutes?
Move to approve the December minutes.
I'll
Is there a
second it.
second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, MP. Thank you, Vince. Any discussion or changes?
I just have one edit, Kristen. It's Hobie Cat, which I believe is Hobie and cat.
All right.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
my
you spelled
spell.
it phonetically.
Gets me all the time.
You don't really even have to say Hobie Cat. That's the make.
Just-
You
just
just say
cat.
Okay.
Like clean.
catamaran. Catamaran is fine.
All right.
There you go. That was the only note I remember having from that.
All right.
Any other edits, changes, additions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and that's approved. So now we'll move on to the minutes from the January meeting. We got those today from Kristen. Thank you very much. Entertaining a motion to approve the minutes, a second, and then we'll make any adjustments.
I move
Is
to
there a
approve the
motion?
January minutes.
Second,
Thank you, MP. Second, Pam. Great. Any discussion, edits, or changes that need to be made? Hearing none, we will call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Great. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate that. I don't know if we have any guests looking at, it's just us here tonight.
It's just us. Yes.
Okay, so no public comments. Just a couple of comments from my perspective. Had a chance to meet with Scott this past month, and did speak with him about today. Actually, I'm working on a feedback loop. If we could get some type of link on the Beach and Rec page, I thought we had that at one point, but he's going to work to see if we can get that set up. If someone wants to send an email, if someone wants to give feedback. So Scott will give us an update if we could get that operationalized so that
It
when
was
we
on
communicate.
the homepage of the whole website down at the bottom. Is it not there anymore?
Well, I was on the Beach and Rec. Is it on the Town of Madison or on the Beach and Rec
The
one?
Town of Madison report of concern, Beach and Rec had its own category. We had Rita set that up a long time ago.
Okay.
Has it been
So maybe
moved off?
under, well, I was only on the Beach and Rec page and I went down to the bottom, but that doesn't mean I looked hard enough to find it. But maybe under new business, we can just have a couple discussion points, because if we already have it, we won't need to reinvent the wheel. But if it's at the bottom of the page, maybe we can discuss if that's working for everyone.
Yeah, we
Thanks for that,
specifically
MP.
had Rita set that up.
That's how I had remembered that as well. I thought we
Yeah,
had something.
it's on the
but I couldn't.
very front page of the town website.
I think
It's
it's
on the
hard to
town.
know. I'm looking at it now, and yes, it underneath the citizen request tracker, first it goes, their general reports to the first selectman, and then Beach and Recreation has 4 different links: complaint, praise, program suggestion, repair needed. I think the only problem is that it's hard to know when you look at the homepage for the whole town website that that's there. There's no indication, but that's where you start.
So let's have some discussion. Thank you for that. That's the piece that I wanted. If we could get on new business briefly, talk about it. Is that working? Is that right? And then get some feedback from Scott. That would be helpful. Let's see. I do have the updated document. MP provided some edits as well as others. I'll get that out to the group after this. This will be a document that, 1, we'll use to update the Board of Selectmen, and 2, potentially post this to the website so people can get an update as a means to increase the communication. I think it best to let the group give some feedback and let Scott own it. I mean, we can create this draft. It's not too dissimilar to what we already put out there, but I did incorporate that feedback, pulled it back a little bit, removed a couple things. And if everyone feels good with that, we can let Scott as the director kind of use that for the update.
Is there
And that's
is there an
really,
agenda spot?
Not for tonight. What I was going to do was send it out to the group.
Oh, for
I
the
think,
selectmen's meeting.
so that kind of goes into what our objectives are for tonight. So you'll see on the agenda under old business, past fee schedule review and recommendations. I just wanted to share some comments. My takeaway from last week's meeting, and this is not set in stone, I would ask you guys for the feedback, is that we tabled it for discussion. People seem to be comfortable with the fee rates, although the percent increase was a lot to deliver, and maybe this wasn't the right time to deliver it. So our objective tonight, the main purpose for our meeting, is to, one, can we validate that this is a fee schedule? And Linda has provided, and it came from Scott, a list of what other communities are doing. And then number two, would we serve that to the Board of Selectmen? Now, that would either come with a recommendation to raise fees this year or to not raise fees this year, or it could go with a recommendation that the Board of Selectmen make a choice on when they want to do it. So that's really under the agenda item for old business. And in that discussion, we can decide how much we include in a website update.
Right. Rob, can I just step back for a second? I thought at the last meeting that MP made a motion to approve what Scott's Beach and Rec Department had recommended for beach stickers, gym passes, and the catamaran day sailor mooring price list
Mhm.
as proposed.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And after some, I guess, heated or various discussions, it was decided that, maybe we should have this discussion tonight. So there were three parts to this: the beach stickers, beach pass stickers, the gym passes, and the catamaran / kayak rental increases. Is that right?
Hey,
And then after that, MP said, you know what, why don't we table it? Go my motion for the next meeting, which is where we are tonight.
Yeah, so let's have that discussion under old business, because I think that I see Scott wants to chime in. I think we want to get through the overall business, but that's what we're here for tonight. That's the main thing that we want to have a discussion on. And I think we'll open up that discussion with the minutes, just so we can refresh everyone's memory as far as what was approved. But
Okay.
you're spot on there, Vince.
Okay.
Okay. So that's all I have, just to kind of set up our purpose tonight. With that, I'll turn it over to Scott to go through department updates and any budget updates, and then open up to the group for any questions that you guys have for Scott, or anything that we need to be thinking about that would make its way under new business or the agenda. So Scott, we'll turn it over to you for department updates and budget.
Right now, the guys are recovering from our lovely storm. But we're diligently working on repairing and replacing picnic tabletops and ends for this upcoming summer, as well as constructing the new boat racks that we have previously discussed. So those will be all set for the spring. As far as the regular department, we're running as best we can. It's very difficult to run programs right now because the town campus is being used as the town vaccination site. So we really can't schedule a regular program. We have a vaccination tomorrow and on Thursday. Right now, Surf Club, we lost a neutral in the power grid.
Oh.
So that created a problem. We don't know what the impact is going to be, as it's been down for a while. So we may have frozen pipes and a lot of repair work.
The whole building's out?
The entire Surf Club building was out.
Yeah.
Doug came in and lights were flashing like we were a landing zone for aliens. But it got traced back to a blown neutral. and Eversource was contacted, and we're still trying to figure everything out. But obviously with no power, no heat, we don't know what the damage is going to be as far as the heating system or the water system going forward. So we're going to have to play
Scott,
that by
just
ear.
curious, this is getting in the weeds a little bit. If we shut off the power, I mean, we don't shut off the water in the winter there?
No,
That's-
we did. Well, the main building, no, we don't shut the water off in the main building because that's where we typically run programs. So the bathrooms are still operational. Everything else at the surf club is blown out, like Garvin Point, the team rooms, etc. They're all blown out. It's
Yep,
the
main
main
building
surf
is
club
operational.
building is a hub, and we don't anticipate not losing power for an extended length of time. So we're just gonna have to see. We have everything off, all the water is shut off. We just don't know what if anything cracked or not. We'll find out when everything gets energized again.
Can I ask a follow-up question, Scott? Is that a function of the age of the surf club? I mean, is that their?
No.
Or is
No.
the company?
No, it's not. It came in from down Surf Club Road. That's where we get our power from. The other side, which is where the maintenance garage and the new maintenance building are, that comes down from Longshore Lane. That was fine. It's just we lost the neutral leg coming down Surf Club Road. We don't know what happened. So that's Eversource's issue, not ours. It's just, if there's a lot of damage, it's going to be an insurance claim that we're going to have to document and get covered for cracked pipes. And we don't know if with the blinking lights and everything else that Doug displayed, like, as I said, landing zone for the aliens. I don't know if something happened to the furnace system as far as controls. They may have gotten cooked. We just don't know yet. So we're working on it. That was the exciting news.
Yeah, that's big.
Um,
So just to kind of, so you will have a better appreciation for this having done this, but how long until you would expect that damage to be uncovered and repaired? Is this something, I mean, we're 90 days out from selling.
we would have to, Eversource was supposed to be contacting Nichols Electric when they were going to re-energize, and Doug has reached out to see if they've even done that. I did notice today that our time system got reconnected. So I'm assuming, without having going down there today, I'm assuming that we have power back as far as internet and everything else. But when Doug was down there last, all the electrical boxes were still open with everything off. And that leads me to believe that Dave Nichols hasn't been back to turn everything back on. So, okay. So stand by. The other thing with all the snow, we did punch out a little bit of Bower Park, but Salt Meadow is not punched out with the 15 inches of snow. It's just, somebody's driven in there, but we have not plowed it, which is typically the standard. When we get this amount of snow, the parking lots are typically closed. except for the main lot of Surf Club, East Wharf, and West. So just so everybody knows.
What happens up at Rockland, Scott?
Well, typically, like I said, Tim Burton was doing a thing for the service roads for cross country. So typically we get Renee's Way plowed out. We don't necessarily do the Route 79 lot because that's really the single tracks. It's, you want to start, if you're cross country skiing, you want to start from the top. You don't want to have to climb all the way up. But so we typically do the Renee's Way, and then eventually we will get to the Route 79 lot. So, and they can also access everything through Durham, which is Pisgah Road, and that's a cul-de-sac, and people can park there if that parking lot is not plowed by that end of the town. So. As far as budget goes, we did have our workshop, and with the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen, they reviewed it fairly shallow, and I'm sure there's going to be more to come as far as what the budget was presented and where the town's heading. You know, as you know, we're in a tough spot with, with the COVID and a lot of expenses coming out. So I think both boards are really, really closely examining expenses and moving forward with the town. It's going to be I think it's going to be a tough year. And our increases were modest. And in fact, in total, we are actually minus due to the personnel changes. And I'm not going into that. But I think if we can start running programs, it's going to help justify our means. That's our most difficult thing right now, is facilities are not available to us, so we can't run programs. So we've been running Pilates outside. Obviously now, with the 15 inches of snow, Jen's not going to be able to run her classes. And Jazzercise has been doing Zoom, and we've been running some outdoor classes at Bauer, but that's basically all we've been able to do. Carrie came up with a great idea, working with Southington. We didn't have our ski program, but she was able to work with Andrea up at Southington, and we were able to buy, if people wanted passes, they can buy it through us. And she was handing them out today for people to pick up at a discounted rate, so people can go up to Southington and ski or snowboard. But we're not providing any transportation or anything. It's go up on your own and go ahead and ski. And it's been positive, and I think it was a great move. And we're making a little bit, but obviously not what we typically do in our programming seasons. There's no basketball. We did do a joint program with Madison Youth Basketball, who we're working with. They're running a program up at Brown School, and we opened it up to not only travel people, but anybody else who wanted to, for 4th through 8th grade. And that registration closed tonight or last night. And it's going to run 6 weeks, 1 day a week for practice. And then Saturdays, they would be doing some scrimmages. So
What age group? What age group is that?
age 4 through 8.
Okay. And can I ask one other question on the ski program, the Southington? Was that on the website? Was that?
Yes. Yeah,
It was.
Carrie posted it out. Yes.
Okay. And that's full, you're
Just
saying?
I'm not saying it was for anybody who wanted. There was
Yeah.
no cap
Great.
or anything. And it was quite popular because people are looking for something
Yeah.
to do. And
Well, a lot of the ski places are closing, for the attendance. You can only have a certain number of people.
yes, and they are
That's great.
monitoring all that. Yes.
It's a great program.
So.
All right, we got to keep.
Just a comment on the basketball offering. I think you have a private organization, the Madison Youth Basketball Program. I'm not sure the correct name, Scott, but they approached Scott, and it wasn't just their group. It's clinics and conditioning, and it's open to town residents that registered. So I think it was a win-win for the residents and for that program. So I think that was a good move there, Scott.
It's a good try. I don't know how many participated, but I'm sure it's going to be on their end. I think it'll be a successful program, but it was a short launch, so we'll see.
Scott, back to the budget. It's hard to say. You said you're going to go in more depth. What do you think the risk is? We're coming in under forecasted to last year, but do you see that we could be presented with a 15 or 20% haircut, or do you think it'll be immaterial?
Honestly, I think we'll be okay. A lot of the budget is hard costs, labor and materials. It's not a lot of fluff. So it's what it is to run the department and the grounds. So I don't see where they're going to be able to cut much. It's just wages. We're trying to stay above minimum wage. That's raising up. They're starting to push to get that up higher, and we're already above it. We're trying to stay ahead of that wave. I think we're going to be all right. Our additional budget requests were going from the 5 days to 7 day coverage, which we did do this past summer out of necessity. And I'm hoping that they'll accept those additional costs and include it in our budget for the lifeguards and the gate guards. So,
Scott, just a quick, did you play into those numbers, the programs, the full season of basketball and pickleball and adult volleyball and the other recreation programs into that budget number?
no, the programming budget, Vince, doesn't go into the normal budget.
Okay.
That's it. That's in the recreational programming account.
Well, but it's still money you make. I mean, you made, almost $400,000 one year in 2018. That's a pretty significant number.
For our programs, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, in our recreational programs, the goal is to obtain 25% profit over and above the cost of the programs. So anything we charge, we're trying to get to 25%.
Gotcha.
But the rest of the departmental budget is not driven on whether or not you run 10 programs or 50 programs.
Correct. That's
The
all
rest of
general,
the budget
that's
is
all
held
general
separate.
fund.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, the programs are programs, they're separate.
Okay. Do you anticipate, you know, I'm going to get asked this question. Do you anticipate a price increase this year on the programs?
It all really depends on labor, which, okay, like the after-school program is all labor. And
Right.
then say, Vince, you want to run ABC program
Right.
and you want $30 an hour. Okay. So we have to plan that program saying, okay, how many people do you want to work with, Vince? 10. Okay. You're working $30 an hour and you have 10 people, and how many weeks? And you have to add 25%.
But
And equipment and supplies.
well,
Correct.
understood. Right.
Correct.
But I know that just the pickleball folks, and I don't mean to take up a lot of time, but I know that we had, you know, Brandon was part-time, Barbara was part-time, we had a couple of other folks. There weren't any full-time positions there in the gym.
No, it's all, they were all part-time
Part-time, right. No
Employees
benefits. no
that are
benefits on
now-
that. Right,
that are now all collecting unemployment.
right. So there wasn't any increment, that's what I'm saying. There wasn't any incremental, there's not an incremental cost of doing those programs from year to year. I guess is what I'm getting to.
No, but we had to cover staffing costs of having the people there.
But that's okay, I don't want to get into the weeds, but we did that last year too.
Yeah.
And Barbara were all part-time people.
Yep.
There isn't any incremental cost. We're not repainting the gym or redoing
No.
the floor.
No, you have to look at, I mean, if you really want to get into the weeds, you got electrical, you got heat and everything else. So it's just, you know, we bought 3 net systems. Now 2 of them are out on the courts outside. And I'm glad everybody's using them, not with the 15 inches of snow, but
Okay, all right.
you know, it's just we can't, right now, we can't open the gym up for any normal activities, so. Which is unfortunate.
Yeah,
So the takeaway is limited programming, if any at all, based on facility,
Correct.
you know, access, as well as the winter.
Yep.
COVID. And from a budget standpoint, you feel we're going to be okay because it's a fixed budget and it's been baked in, but you're not getting any signals. And where I'm going with the questioning is, as we go into talking about potential price increases or planning for next season, you know, staffing, you know,
Right.
would that be at risk? So appreciate the insight.
So we're leading into old business?
Yeah, I mean, if there are there, I guess before we get into old business, like any questions from Pam, Vince, MP, just in general about anything in particular?
nope.
Okay. Bauer Park's call is on the 24th of this month, and Salt Meadow is on the 22nd. And if that's all we have, thanks, Scott. So we'll move into old business. So the question that Vince asked was just to kind of level set, you know, what has been approved, what have we voted on? And then, you know, what became a good discussion last week was, is it right to take that percentage of a price increase? And there was a lot of discussion on that. And if we do take that price increase, do we recommend it this year? Do we not do it this year? And the purpose of this discussion point under old business is being able to put give the Board of Selectmen an update, and if there's any changes that we have recommendations for, we'd want to provide that. And Scott, I believe the Board of Selectmen meeting is next week.
Yes.
Is there a next one? Yeah.
Yep.
So the idea would be if we could arrive at, are there fees that we're all comfortable with? Have they been approved? Do we have a position? Are we willing to make a recommendation on a price increase? If so, when? And then be able to deliver that to the Board of Selectmen. So
As of right
before
now,
we go,
the boat fees are going forward. that
Yep.
we approved
Right.
in November. And what I would recommend as far as the pass, you have Linda's spreadsheet.
Would you-
Going over everything, the ones in red, she was still waiting to hear back. And those were on the second page. I know it's a long spreadsheet. I mean, I think we're in the ballpark with a lot of things, but given the fact that we have not increased in a substantial amount of years,
this is-
and I know Guilford, I think Rick was meeting last night if they met. They were going to be discussing their beach fees in Guilford. But I think we just need to not put them on notice, but let the selectmen know that we're really thinking that due to the longevity of what we have been charging over the past several years and the overall intention of beach pass fees, which were established to cover the costs of labor of operating and maintaining our beaches. I think we need to put them on notice that we really think that our fees need to increase in order to do that. I mean, we're going up to $14 an hour for our personnel. And I know the state's starting to push to get it going faster than it is. And we're ahead of the curve, and we've been ahead of the curve. But as far as the fees covering labor and operational labor and maintaining the beaches, it's fallen way out of whack. It's become more of a taxpayer burden than the user burden. And so I think no increase this year. Let's let it ride because of COVID and everything else. But I think we have to look at a slight increase. I'm not saying monumental, but we have to look at moving forward. We are in 1980s fees right now. So that's
Scott, I just want to understand
those are just my
comment.
thoughts. So
Okay. But your comment though, because this is recorded and on the statement that 1980s fees, we haven't had a price increase since 2010. Are you saying that as a relative with cost of inflation?
The fees haven't increased since Tom Scarpati was first selectman.
I have written down 2007.
So that's way back. So, and when he came in, fees were doubled on beach passes as well as boat rack fees.
Okay, so it's 2007. All right.
Yep.
And the fact is that services have been increased.
Correct.
Maintenance needs have been increased. Usage has been increased. We've listened to comments of citizens and made changes and, haven't increased the cost. And
Correct.
there's sort of no other situation where that happens in, the real world, where you're receiving increased services for no increased cost for 13 years.
Right, especially this past year when we were closing our facilities down.
Yeah.
In order to sanitize and everything to keep people safe. So it's just been difficult, and I think the town has to look at that in long term. And I'm just tossing it out that we're going to have to do something if you really look back to the history books and what the beach pass fees were intended to do.
Mhm.
Well, may I take a minute of your time? Indulge me, please. So
Sure.
Liz did this incredible, outstanding analysis. Spent a lot of time, a lot of energy. And I think it would be worth our while to go over and look at what our fees are versus those towns around us, the shoreline. Our fee is actually more right now, never mind the increase, than anybody else on the shoreline. We charge $40 for a car. Saybrook and everyone else charges $30 to $35 per car. The rate of $10 for the senior citizen is widespread throughout the shoreline. So there's absolutely no reason for us to be the highest along the shoreline, but we are. And yet we're talking about a price increase. I mean,
I see one that matches. There's
well,
several that are more than Madison right now on this.
excuse
spreadsheet.
me? No, I'm talking about along the shoreline. I don't think we want to compare ourselves, do we,
Can I,
I thought we'd compare ourselves to the shoreline. I thought that was Guilford, Westbrook, Old Saybrook, Branford.
So there's a lot of information here. So Vince, I appreciate your point, which is, if I'm hearing this, is that, hey, our rates may be above what else is out there. I know MP, you had some comments, and Pam, I want to hear, let's have this discussion on rates. Ideally, we arrive at a rate schedule that we feel comfortable with. I thought we had gotten there, but let's have that discussion. Pam, you had some comments?
I do. So first of all, Vince, I appreciate your comments. I really appreciated your email. And I think which probably sparked the spreadsheet that we got on all of these shoreline towns and beach with the fee information. I also did some digging. And the other thing that I started doing was actually going to these towns and visiting their beaches, because I think it's really important, if we're going to compare, that it's apples to apples and oranges to oranges, and to look at what we are offering versus what these other towns are offering. And for example, I even spoke to someone on the Beach and Rec staff, or Park and Rec staff in Guilford. Last year, Guilford's, for their fee, they didn't even have one of their beaches open. It was only Jacob's Beach. And if you go to Jacob's Beach, it does not come near to having the amenities that the surf club does.
Yeah.
We have 3 beaches, and 2 of those beaches are quite nice. West Wharf is much smaller, but I think if you look at East Wharf and the surf club, these are amazing facilities. They're much more private. I noticed Jacob's Beach is right near a major road. I really don't think there's a comparison to the quality of recreational facility that we offer. I also started looking at other towns along the shoreline, and one of the concerns you had were senior citizens. And I think that right now we do the 60 plus, maybe that age needs to be raised. I know I'm getting ready to turn 65, and not all seniors are the same. I'm still working full time. I can pay more. I want to pay more because I think that we provide an amazing value here in Madison. And, but if there are those seniors who have a hard time with a hike in fees, one of the towns, the way that they deal with that is by allowing any senior who is eligible for senior tax relief in that town. I think they got free passes. So if we were concerned about seniors who couldn't afford it, that's one way of identifying those seniors and then offering them either free passes or discounts. And then the third thing I wanted to say, what was my third point? There was one more. I'll think of it. Maybe someone else can discuss, and you can swing back to me.
Thanks, Pam. That's great. MP, did you have any other comments? I know you were responding to Vince. I don't know if there's other comments you want to weigh in with.
I think that's my point right now, is that the level of services has been increased over the years, and in a responsive way. And there's nothing in the past 13 years that, you pay for that has not increased at least, 1 or 5 or 10 times. So I think, the usage fees should reflect at least a portion, because it doesn't cover the entire budget of operations of our facilities, but I don't think it's unreasonable to expect a usage fee to reflect the increase in services received in 13 years.
Well, there's also a philosophic difference here that I think we need to talk about. Because philosophically, I think, we as a commission should be talking about how do we increase the, if you want to use the word recreational well-being of the Madison community. I don't think we should be evaluating what their price should be. I think we should evaluate what do we give them as a service. I think the pricing issue should go to the selectmen and the board.
No, it's part of
Wait a
the charge
minute.
of this
May I
commission.
finish? May I finish?
But
I think we need to look at ourselves as what do we propose? What do we want to give the community as an increase, recreational benefit, not what we think we should do as price increases. That's not our job. I don't think so. And let me just finish, MP, and then you can go on whatever you'd like to discuss. But I think this price increase is not the right thing to do at this time. I think the Madison beachgoers over the last 2 years have had 2 rough seasons with the price, thing we did with the car parking thing. We put them through an enormous amount of gyrations, if you will. They had a tough season. This last year has been a tough season with COVID. We've restricted their parking. We've done, we're all coming out of this. We don't know what's going to be. And I think the right thing to do is not to do anything at this point in time. And I've said this before, not to have a price increase now. We can evaluate it. We can take another look at it. We can look at our prices. We haven't even done a cost analysis of what this really brings, these increases bring to the budgetary process. We haven't done that. We're just going to say, okay, let's increase the price. And we've done an analysis. Linda did an analysis, an in-depth analysis. Why did she waste all that time to do this if we're not going to look at it and say, you know what? Madison's the highest price. And that's goes back to Pam's question of we are a better value. Okay, so we charge $40. We charge $10 more than the next person does. I just think, and there are other reasons. As I said, the price increase does not have a value added to it. We haven't shown what it means based on that price increase. And I guess my fourth point is, we are increasing prices while if you look at the numbers of passes sold between 2018, 2019, and last year, the number of passes that were sold is down. You look at the chart, it's going straight down, which means that the number of people that are buying passes is down. What we want to do is we want to increase the prices on those passes. And any logic says don't increase the price when the chart is going down. So, we're in a diminishing market of people coming into the park with the number of cars and passes that are sold, but yet we want to increase prices. So those are my.
And I'm not, Vince, I am not saying we're increasing this year.
Oh.
I'm saying that we need to talk with the selectmen and the Board of Finance going forward that we need to consider it. I'm not saying, yes, we got to jump the fees up. I'm not advocating any price increase for this summer at all. So,
Well, Scott, I'm with you.
okay. I mean, it's just, we have to lay the seed to talk to the selectmen and the Board of Finance and figure it all out.
Right.
That's all. That's all I'm saying.
I'm with you.
So to that end, the discussion is, we had some prices that were proposed, and those prices were proposed based on some knowledge, some additional information that Linda's provided, Scott's experience. And the other piece, Vince, is, what felt right. Going from $40 to $50, not having a price increase over 13 years seems reasonable. I think you can add into the discussion the percent increase, and you can make an argument that that percent increase is too much or it's astronomical. I think what Scott's putting on the table is, how do we start to get the word out that we haven't had a price increase, that we plan to take one. We don't believe that that we need to act on it right now. And our recommendation would be for the summer 22 season that we, the Board of Selectmen may enact that. The Board of Selectmen might say, we'd like to enact it this summer. They may say, let's not do that.
Yeah,
Between
that's
that
fine.
recommendation and the Board of Selectmen, we can do the cost analysis and see what it gains or generates. Or, I don't think fewer people are going to go to the beach. Personally, I don't think fewer are going to go to the beach because we raised the price. There'll be some that will, put a stake in the ground and say no. I think most people are pleased that we've added gate guards, we've added lifeguards, there's better maintenance, there's overall increased staffing. So for our discussion tonight, if one is to make a recommendation on what a price increase could be, or maybe this group says we're not going to do that. Some of it's already been approved. And then the other recommendation that would be that we don't recommend this price increase go into effect until next summer. That would be one path that we could pursue tonight, is price increases, some of which has already been approved, and then a recommendation that the price increase goes effective summer of 2022. I don't know if others have any thoughts on it, but that would be our objective, is to be able to make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen.
I would just make the recommendation that we need to talk to them and let them know that we're discussing it, and not make any move for this summer, saying, like I just said before, that we need to talk to the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance and figure it all out through the coming year for next budget season. That's my recommendation.
I second that.
I found, I don't know, I don't think that was a motion, but.
Oh,
No, it wasn't, just my opinion.
okay, I thought it was a motion, Scott.
What I do want to say though, and Vince, you actually reminded me of my third point,
Oh, great.
that.
Oh, that was the fourth point.
Is that good or bad?
It was the fourth point. You had three.
I have
Now it's
three
your
and I
fourth.
remembered the third. Okay, so the third point is that, yes, we did increase services this year. We had fully staffed lifeguards and we were paying them a premium hourly rate. We had all of the gate guards that we increased their hours. That comes with a cost. And either way, we will pay for that. That is not, that has to be covered, whether it's an increased tax rate or having to cut back on other services that the town provides.
Yep.
That, if we are going to make a recommendation to maybe the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen, that maybe we need to find a better balance between what's funded through use fee, the actual use fees at our facilities, versus what we all as taxpayers support in terms of services. That these are not just, we can't increase the certain amount of services and the cost without paying for it in some way. So
Pam,
you got to figure out how to balance those.
And the idea of the passes is that it's sort of a cooperative thing, because it doesn't cover the full operational costs of the facilities in any way, but it helps balance the burden on the taxpayers in general of the town, against the services that specifically the people who use the facilities also gain.
right, but if
So it doesn't cover, it's not a one-for-one thing, but it's a cooperative thing. It's a community thing, right? So by
Right.
buying your pass, you are taking on an additional service to the community, sort of, for what you're receiving.
right, Guilford, then thank you for the compliment, Pam, on my letter. But to go back to my letter, the Guilford that I wrote, the Guilford beach pass is $35 for residents, $10 for seniors and vets. That's with lifeguards. They have lifeguards as well.
But how many lifeguards?
It doesn't matter. They
Yes,
have
it does.
lifeguards okay.
It does.
Mhm.
Old Saybrook is $20 for residents and seniors and vets. $10 for seniors and vets with lifeguards. Westbrook is $30 for residents. Again, $10 for seniors and vets with lifeguards. So if you're going to compare apples to apples, they have lifeguards. I don't know how many. I
You
don't
need to know how many.
know
You
that
need to
analysis,
know-
but
I think you need to know the amount of beach front that they are trying to cover and how many lifeguards they have in order to make a true comparison.
I agree with you.
my
I
opinion.
agree with you, but I think that that's an analysis that we need to do, you know, in a much deeper conversation than just to say, let's increase the price.
But
I,
it's not, even that isn't a direct comparison because those communities have a completely different type of tax base than our community does.
That's true.
I think that's a good point, MP. That what's also not on here is it's noted that some of it's included in the auto tax. You know, we don't know how that's
Yeah.
incorporated, what percentage of that is being delivered back.
It all
And
can't
I don't-
necessarily be teased out.
Right. And I don't think residents, I don't know that, I can't speak for the residents, but if the entire population was taxed an additional $100 for the beach, I think we'd hear about that because not everyone's using the beach. So
Yeah.
I think what MP was saying is that, you know, for those people that do use the beach and the services, it's a co-op. We're sharing that
Yeah.
amongst those beach users. So couple things I just want to put out there. I don't think there's ever a good time for a price increase. I've never met anyone that said this would now be a good time for a price increase. I do agree with Scott's comments that, you know, we don't have to take a price increase, but it's a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen. What I'd like to get some clarity on is I thought that we had approved the boat rack price increase,
Mhm.
the gym increase, which is actually, the gym is going to be, if you had a pass last year, it's going to be included for next year. So no renewal fee. But if you're getting a pass for the first time, Scott, I think the fee would be more than it would have been last year. So I believe those are two things that we already approved.
No, we did not improve the gym pass increase.
I think we just did the boats.
We did the
Okay.
boats.
Unless
As a matter of fact, we did the boats in November. We,
Yeah,
Mhm.
the boat fees,
Remember.
boat fees are going to the Board of Selectmen next week.
right,
Mhm.
Gym fees, we did not increase.
right.
So if you never had a pass, you would be paying the normal rate, which is $80 for an adult for the year.
Right.
And 20 for a senior. If we ever
But if
open.
you,
Can I make a motion here?
Well, let's just get baseline what has been approved and what hasn't, and then,
Just the,
Okay,
boat-
this
just
discussion
the,
is gonna
just
come
the
up.
boat fees were approved, Rob.
okay.
Nothing else was moved on.
And that was in November?
Yes,
And then the November minutes, we approved it, yes.
yep. And that's going to the selectmen next week.
Right.
So the rates that, Scott, you were proposing, we've referenced them in the minutes in the past. For example, resident pass, a first auto nanny was $40 up to $50. That's your recommendation.
That's just a bookmark to look at.
Mhm. And Vince, to your point, those prices, we should be able to validate a rationale behind why we're going from 40 to 50 in the example of a resident pass, first auto, or nanny.
My suggestion is not to make any price increase this year at all on both the beach stickers and the gym passes. And my suggestion is to evaluate this after we come out of COVID and see how things shake out in September, October of this year, and then make a suggestion or a recommendation if we come up with some, you know, value added or some analysis on what these price increases will do for the budget.
Okay, so no pass increases this year, and communicate to the community and the Board of Selectmen that we're planning to make recommendation for increases for summer 22.
No,
Yeah,
we're going to
possible
evaluate the
increases.
possibility.
Not now. Yeah, we're considering price
Right.
increases for summer 22.
Right. I mean, and I think Scott agrees with that proposal. Do you not, Scott?
Yeah, I'm just saying, we just need to talk. We need to have a discussion with Board of Selectmen and Board of
Right.
Finance and what they want.
You're right.
You know, do they want us to increase fees to help cut our budget expenses down, or do we just make that part of living in the community and it's an asset? I mean,
It is an
that
asset.
you deal with. But that's entirely, we can only recommend. We do not establish fees except for programs. That's all.
Right, and it is part of the charter of this commission that we
Establish
do
and maintain a beach pass system.
Right.
Yes.
We make the recommendations, right? Because not making a recommendation isn't really an option for us.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right. But I believe that to make a recommendation, just, you know, blindly to say that we haven't done it in 10 years or 13 years, in my mind, and my own suggestion is, it's not the proper way to address it to the community. You know, the community doesn't know that when you give them a price increase. They don't,
But they know that they've
You know
received
it.
increased services. They know because they asked for them.
yeah.
and
That
they
as
were
well,
provided them.
that as well as minimum wage went from $9 an hour to
Right.
now we're at over 13. So
And as Peggy said the last meeting, we need to do we need to educate, and we need to evaluate, and we need to tell folks what these price increases are all about.
exactly.
These services mean to them. And then the possibility would be for us to increase the prices after we've set the stage to say, listen, this is what you wanted, this is what we gave you. There's a price increase with that.
And
But
this is what it costs. You want lifeguards 7 days a
Right.
week,
Right,
gate guards 7 days a week.
right,
The cost, are you willing to ante up
right.
in order
And Vince, I
to
think
have
that
our
was
beaches?
and that was an option coming into, you know, a possible output could have been, we have these price increases that will not go into effect until 2022, which gives us time to communicate that. We can do the research, we can compare it to other towns, we can talk about the increase in services, and we can talk about the increased hourly rate. That's what we're doing now, to do the
Absolutely.
work and make a business case. You know, to go through, we're never going to be able to justify that the fees collected cover the costs. You know, that's something that the Board of Selectmen have made very clear to us, that this is not a profit center. The Beach and Rec does not exist to make money. But costs are increased, and I think MP's articulated very well, and Pam as well. It's coming from the taxpayer. The question is, do we want people to use the beach to be able to share in that fee? So,
But can I just make one more point, Rob? You have,
Sure.
please understand, if you look at the number of beach passes sold from 2018, where we sold $180,000 worth of beach passes, to where we sold last year, which was somewhere around, I think, 120,000. That's $60,000 of difference in beach pass revenue. What I'm saying to you is that if we have another great year like 2018, we may not have to increase prices to make up what the added value of those lifeguards and those other costs are.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
think that's a linear relationship.
Why?
Because there are external factors that determine how busy the beach is in any given season. And, you know, and those costs, those numbers that you just quoted are different categories of passes. That's not just resident passes. So I don't think you can make that direct relationship.
There's residents, there are residents, seniors.
Yeah,
veterans,
but all of those have
oh, there's
different numbers attached to them.
$180,000. I'm sorry?
But all of those numbers have different dollar amounts attached to them.
Yeah, what's I'm
Like-
saying, let's try to duplicate what we
Nonlinear equation.
mean. All I'm saying, MP, is that if we do the same thing we did in 2018, we might be able to make up the revenue that we need to make up to justify the cost of lifeguards and the other, additional increases. That's all I'm saying, is let's take a look at the evaluation of that.
But the problem is you have to you have to staff and pay for the lifeguards in advance. You can't go, oh, well, a lot of people bought beach passes last year, so we can afford to buy 10 more lifeguards. Like it's front end loaded.
Yeah, you also have to remember last year we were not selling non-resident passes
Right. Right.
at all. So
And we may not be able to do so at the beginning of this season as well.
correct, because
Yeah.
I think the other thing, when you look
2020
at-
is rolling into 2021.
Yeah. It's just,
I
it's
think the
not
other piece too,
intended for the
Vince, is
passes to cover the cost. It's not as straightforward as that.
you go at 40,
Because-
you could, Vince, you could also say at $40 for a resident and 500 becomes senior eligible. And so now you've
Yeah.
lost, you've reduced by $30 per individual. We can do all that analysis. The fact is that we've got more resources, higher hourly wage. We've listened to the community. We haven't had a price increase in 13 years. We need to be sensitive to this. We need to ask the Board of Selectmen. It doesn't sound like there's any consensus on what the rate should be. It sounds like there's consensus that we don't take a price increase. Scott, just for clarity and for the group, are we saying that we will take a boat price increase because we voted on it? We will
No.
recommend that, or are we pulling that off
No,
the table?
no, we're not. No, this was just a discussion to try to move it forward, to bring the discussion to the selectmen and the Board of Finance, saying, look, yeah, this is one of our options moving forward to help with the budget process and cover costs, help cover costs. It's not gonna, whatever we do, it's not gonna be 100% coverage
Right.
of our costs. That's not the intent. It's just to help offset the general fund expense. We know we have the beaches, we know we're gonna staff them, but we have to try to do some offset fees to try to help minimize the exposure. That's all.
So just to try and summarize, I don't see that we're going to have any recommendation on fees
No,
for a future date. That's not tonight. So tonight is really, our recommendation is no price increase this year.
correct.
And that we'll tell the Board of Selectmen, we're going to look into it.
Yep.
Is there anyone that is not comfortable with that? I mean, Vince, I
comfortable
appreciate
with
your
that.
opinion. Yeah, I know you're comfortable with that, but I just want to make sure there's consensus. Does the group feel like we can all sit here and say, we definitely agree we shouldn't raise prices this year?
It's one
Yeah,
of
I think
it's one
that's
of our work
reasonable.
topics. So
Does that
I
include
can live with that.
as well?
I'm sorry, Vince.
Not stick in the mud here.
Vince, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
No, I'm saying the proposal was to increase the gym passes as well. And I'm saying if we, and I don't mean to shift gears here, but if we're going to talk about the added value and added value like this, you can't make that argument on the
I
gym.
don't think there was a price increase. Scott said there was
Yeah,
no
there
gym
was.
price
There
increase.
was. Absolutely.
that was in the fee proposal, which was shot down. And what I'm saying is it was food for thought
Okay,
and we have to move forward. I'm
okay, Scott.
not
Okay.
recommending anything for until 2022.
Okay, great.
Which makes sense because we don't know at what point the gym is going to be open for regular
Exactly.
use. until other
Exactly.
things Get
It's
fixed.
a stagnant facility except for
Yeah.
tomorrow and Thursday where we have vaccination site. So
Well, if
Which
I'm
is a
still
good
allowed to
thing.
be on the,
It's a
if
good
I'm still,
thing.
if you'll still invite me to the commission, I'm gonna, you can't make that argument on gym passes because you can't say that there's added value and added personnel, et cetera, on the gym prices to go from $80 to $100. So it's a moot point, so I'll leave it alone.
So Scott, going to the Board of Selectmen next week, we'll give them a summary of last summer, and it'll be the recommendation from the commission through you or anyone else that attends that we don't raise fees, and that we need to do some work to make a recommendation what fee increases would look like for summer 22. So
Yeah, I'll bring
That's really
that
the-
up with the boat fee.
Okay.
Boat fees that we are recommending, so.
All right,
And
should we
tell
vote
them that we
vote
are
on that?
looking, that we are looking ahead to work on it. I don't
MP, are you
think there's a
asking if we
vote.
should-
I mean, it's
Yeah.
Okay.
just, we just, we need to, that's one of our to-do
No action.
lists.
Yeah.
To look at.
Okay. So Vince, maybe you would like to, and I mean this in all sincerity, maybe you would like to make the recommendation, do some of the work on the side with anyone else on the commission to actually come up with proposed price increases. And I think, ultimately the commission would say yes or no, and we'd make that as a recommendation. But I think someone needs to dig in and make a proposal that says, these are the current fees, this is what the community's doing, these are the increased costs. And that doesn't mean you do it alone, Vince, but you have a lot of passion around this, and I think someone has to lead it.
And I think we're also, not to interrupt Rob, but I think we're also looking at, now that the two departments are going to be combining, we're looking at increasing the senior rate from 60 to 65 to be in line with what the senior center is doing. So
For next year?
anybody that is now between that 60 and 65 age range would be grandfathered, but the new senior rate would become 65.
Got it.
So for a senior beach pass, if it's adopted by the selectmen, it would become 65 for a senior rate, not 60.
The senior beach pass, I'm confused. Scott, I'm sorry.
A
Age of
senior rate
eligibility.
for eligibility.
Oh, I see. Okay.
For a senior rate would become 65, similar to the senior center.
Are you all right with that, Pam?
Yes, I turn 65 next month. I'm fine with it.
Okay.
But anybody that is in our system right now that has acquired the 60 years of age would still remain at a senior rate. I'm not going to go and say, okay, well, sorry, we just changed our rate. You can't get a senior pass until you're 65. They're going to be grandfathered in. Anybody coming to age 60 would have to wait until they're 65 in order to obtain the senior rate. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So that includes, okay, yeah, okay. So that's beach passes and gym passes.
Beach passes and gym passes, and if there's a senior break in a rec program, it would be 65, not 60.
Can I ask you why?
Because the senior center is going to be the hub, and their rate right now is 60, their age is 65 for seniors.
Okay. You're gonna get a lot of pushback from,
Well,
okay.
I mean, if you look at the thing that Linda did, the
Yep.
senior ages, Vince, are all over the place. I mean, there's 60, there's 62, there's 65. I mean, there's no real consistency. And being in the same town, under the same agency, it seems like 65 is going to be it for most of the silver sneakers and everything else. So that's where it's heading. So, and that's the selectman decision as well. So it's not just us. That has to be determined by the selectmen.
So you're not asking us to approve this.
No, I was just giving you a heads up.
Okay. Okay.
in case you get asked.
I got it. You know I'm gonna get asked.
Yep.
Okay, so we actually made a decision. Having discussed fees in the past, if this does not have, I'll speak with Scott, and we as a commission, I think, have to have an owner that says they will build out all the considerations. They'll work with Scott. They'll give feedback with people one-on-one. I don't think if the Board of Selectmen comes back and says we need to raise fees, they're going to tell us ask us what we recommend, but I don't know that they'll do that. So I don't think there's a sense of urgency is my point. But what we don't want to do is be sitting here a year from this February trying to decide what our fees are. So to your point, Scott, this is one of our task items, is to make a recommendation for a fee schedule for summer 22. Okay, any other comments as we close out this discussion?
In order to make this recommendation, can we do this by consensus, or do we need to actually have a motion and a vote?
So I think if we were looking to take action to raise fees, we would need a motion,
Okay.
a second, a discussion, and a vote.
This was just discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not taking any action, we're avoiding action. So which isn't a bad thing, you know. No decision is a decision, someone once said. Okay, thanks for the question, Pam. And Scott, please pass on to Linda if we don't get to her individually, just to thank her for this work. This is really good. And this also, I think, Scott, you also mentioned that these fees may change by other towns. Other towns may be making changes as well. So
Yes, I believe Rick Maynard was meeting with his commission. I don't know if they met last night or not because of the snowstorm, but they were looking for input. Rick was looking for input from all the shoreline, from the directors, as to what our fees were, because he was going to be talking about it Monday night. And I don't know if they met or not. So I do have a meeting with them on Thursday, so I can bring back more information at our next meeting. So if they decided to do anything.
Vince is shorting Guilford. He bets that their price is going to go down.
I think it's going to go up.
Good in Guilford, yep.
And they had
Okay.
one of their beaches closed last year.
That and
Yep.
GameStop.
Okay. Well, thank you for the discussion. I think it was helpful, and we have some action items coming out of that. I'll update the document and send it over to each of you so you can take a look at that, and then just give Scott your feedback. Any other new business items or anything that you want to make mention that you want to make sure we discuss next month? Okay. Whereas we don't have any other guests, there are no public comments. So with that said, at 8:16, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
So Pam is the first, second would be on Vince. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Appreciate your time tonight. Glad everyone is healthy. Stay safe and warm, and we'll be in touch. Thanks everyone.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
night,
everyone.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a
Scott.
good
Good night.
night.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Kristen.
Thanks, Kristen.
Thanks, Kristen.
Thank you, Kristen.
Good night.